Well, for 2.5 years, I've been, I started out with aquaponics, graduated to bioponics, and then on to earthen beds. First wicking beds and then earthen beds. This is the second season for this earthen bed, and what I want to show you is that my earthen bed has now become clogged. It no longer drains, which means basically that I've got nothing more than a standard raised bed. You know, it's kind of a wasted effort here, that unless I want to clean this thing out every year. I'm really disappointed. An interesting thing here is that it's actually caused this. I don't know. I hope I can show you this. This is the water, you see, that's filled up in this container. And what's interesting is too much water apparently has caused this tomatillo to wilt. I'm not sure what that's about. But anyway, I've turned the water off to this, and I'll start using it as a standard, any container type raised bed from now on. Kind of blows the heck out of that, doesn't it? Another failure is my vertical garden. And everything was working great. It's been some time since it's had any water running through it. As you can see, I mean, things were growing, and really well. But what happened is I've got each of these fed with a 1/4-inch tube, and the tubes get clogged, and it became a daily chore unclogging the tubes. And you know, just more work than it was worth, and I just abandoned the whole thing. But I persist. I keep trying to develop methods of gardening that are easier than just simple in the ground, and also conserve water and provide better nutrients. And these are some of the goals I have. This is the first season for these wicking barrels, and I have to say they have worked out pretty well. But one of the things that's gone wrong with the wicking barrels is that it's not so bad really, but the ropes in here reach down to the bottom, and that's kind of useless, because once it gets down about a foot, the ropes no longer wick water up into the top. So no sense making them this large, I guess is what I'm saying. I mean, the reservoir it's senseless to make the reservoir this large. Other than maybe it helps control temperature of the water, because, you know, where I am, it gets to be like 100 degrees, or it's going to be 110 here the next few days. So I would count this as a partial success, but, you know, yeah, I'd count it as a success. Of everything I've done, the wicking beds is probably the best thing going, other than the hygge culture. Now, this hasn't really become established. I'm still top watering throughout the year. I haven't really tested to see how much water I need. I mean, I haven't turned it off to see when they start to wilt. But this is only 1 year old, and I doubt that the wood underneath of all that dirt is decomposing properly to provide the moisture throughout the year. So yeah, I'm still watering. Now, this is my hydroponic Dutch bucket system, and it's working out well, but it drinks up over 100, well, about 75 gallons a day. Well, I've got a 55-gallon sump, so that means that I'm attending this thing, filling it up more than once a day. So the results are great. I don't like it because it's not sustainable. I'm using fertilizers that are synthetic. If I use bionutrients, the little 1/4-inch tubes, as mentioned before, become clogged, so that's out of the question. So the hydroponics works really well, but it's a chore to keep going. And it just absolutely amazes me how much these tomato plants drink. So all in all, I'll give you one more failure. Alright, this is the aquaponics room, and sure, everything's growing very well here. And here are the fish. They're doing well. The problem is that these 2-inch pipes, which I always thought would be sufficient, become clogged. And I literally take this shop vac, put it on reverse, and blow air through those pipes in order to clean them. Just to keep this water circulating, because the gunk builds up in here. Once again, it's bionutrients clogging up the system. So 1/4-inch, even 2-inch becomes clogged. In fact, it becomes a daily routine for me to just give this a little bit of a shift, like so, just to kind of stir up the muck or whatever there, and keep that water flowing into that standpipe. Okay, well, 2.5 years later, I've learned an awful lot about gardening. I like a lot of things that the aquaponics and bioponics and hydroponics and wicking methods have shown me. Certainly you get a more acute diagnosis of your plants. I mean, you have to have a more acute diagnosis of your plants, because you're not dealing with, well, the synthetic fertilizers is great. I mean, you don't have to really think. You don't have to know. You just do it. Everything works because it's a standard amount of nutrients, unlike aquaponics and bioponics, where you're constantly trying to change the pH, the calcium, the magnesium, the iron, whatever. I mean, you have to be a frickin' scientist, and that's what I loved about it at first, but, you know, it's gotten to be a pain in the rear. Okay, so there you go, folks. 2.5 years. Sure. I'm going to continue to do this fun way of gardening, but I got to tell you, do not get into this thinking this is the be-all and end-all of gardening. It will make you become, it'll either make or break you quickly. Say that. You either have to be really dedicated to this or you're going to fail.